It's one of the most devastating forces in nature, fire. It can roll like a wave across 50,000 acres of rugged country in a day, cresting on mountaintops, cascading with fury down the other side. Stopping it means getting to it as fast as possible before one burnt tree becomes hundreds of thousands. Somebody has to get down there and do it.
My name is Frank Domingues, and I currently work with the U.S. Bureau of Land Management as a aviation coordinator for wildland fire. I was born and raised in Yosemite National Park, and I've been working in fire since 1981, and I started when I was 21, and currently am 54. I'm near the end. I'm now eligible to retire, so it's been a good, 33 years of working in wildland fire. A big league fire back in 1996, where we were, as a smoke jumper, we were the initial attack crew on that fire, and after everything was said and done, I think there were about 300 homes that had burned, and it was one of the biggest fires ever up there in Alaska to create as much havoc as it has. And it was heartbreaking to see that because people, that's where their lives were, but if there was no defensible space, we couldn't do anything for them, unfortunately. When it affects the community, it can affect it in a life-threatening manner. And I've seen a number of those firsthand, and it just seems to, it always has its effect on the communities. It can damage and destroy them. So. I think the most exciting thing about being around a fire or near a fire is just being able to try to control, get it under control. It's like a challenge to you to take on a big monster, and sometimes I've been in situations where I've seen those fires start out small and get into a big giant, turn into a big giant. And with that, the knowledge I gained over the years, you realize that sometimes you got to pick your battles, and you can do everything right by the book, but that fire can just blow out on you, and it goes over the hill. It's screaming and taking off on you. Wildfire is part of our cycle. It's our ecological cycle. You get, not only is it a man-caused thing, but it's also naturally caused by lightning, in the form of lightning. You get the weather pattern setting up right, and when you get lightning storms in the summer, coming in and they're dropping lightning down everywhere, they're going to hit the field. They're going to ignite something. So, it will always be with us.
A wildland forest fire. It can strike at any time. There are 400 people ready.
It all happens pretty fast. I can be coming in here at 9 o'clock this morning, and I would be going to Alaska, and I'd probably be there by tonight and jump in a fire by tomorrow.
Because I was younger when I started it, I always liked being in shape. I like doing physical work, and fighting wildland fire is not, again, not just physically challenging. It's also mentally. And there are times I can recall in the younger years when we were out there on a hand line or on an engine, where you had to go sometimes 48 hours straight without sleep, and you had to because there wasn't enough resources to get there to work with you on the fire. And once they got there, then they managed the work-rest ratio.
40 in California. U.S. Forest Service smoke jumpers, men and women, who by choice parachute out of low-flying planes into the beginning of wildland forest fires.
We can go down with 2 people in some fires, and it's just one tree. It hasn't gotten large yet. We can put that fire out, and that's our expertise.
I was smoke jumping out of Alaska and actually down here in the lower 48s. I just love the fact that we get a call to go to a fire, and next thing you know, bailing out of an airplane, floating down on a parachute and get into some country that I would never hike into, but because my job took me there, that was one of the rewards I liked about the job. You just never knew the job of smoke jump. You just never knew where you were going to be at any moment. And when you got there, you were more than likely in some beautiful country that you just never ever catch yourself being in.
You're not scared, and you shouldn't be out there. You should get, there's that scare factor in there all the time.
And that first jump is something to remember.
It was pretty. It was scary. It was scary because you just, through the training and everything, they tell you to, trust your equipment. And one thing they didn't prepare us for was the actual 4 seconds of free falling before the chute does open.
Fire. You go camping and whatnot. Sometimes we take it for granted that it's not going to happen to us, with my campfire or whatever. And next thing you know, you accidentally started a fire, and it's screaming. It's gone. It's blown out on you. And so just to be more conscious, fire safe, protect. Not taking fire for granted. My personal experience with fire began back in 1981. When I was going through college, I did it as a summer job. I worked with the California Department of Forestry and worked on an engine there with them. And when I finished, I was 38. And the last couple of years are where I really felt I can say not damage, but just the work, the toll that all the training I've had to do, the toll of the job itself, just started feeling the aches and pains in my body. And because we had to do physical fitness, one of the main things I did over the years was do a lot of running. And with me being one of the bigger smoke jumpers on the crew, and running at this pace I was running, eventually my knees started to deteriorate, back started aching, and got to the point where finally I had both knees had to be scoped because of cartilage damage, and when I would come back to train, it just ached more and more, and eventually you just get tired of it, the pain, dealing with the pain, so you move on to something else, and that's what I had to do, and fortunately there was another avenue I was able to take, and that was getting to dispatch and coordination for wildland fires. So that's where I'm currently at now, which basically puts me at a desk, so I don't have to run a whole lot anymore and continue to tear my body up.